This question is a system of equations. And if you've seen my strategy series on the digital SAT, which you should definitely go to my channel, subscribe, make sure you see lots of great videos, I did a lesson on Desmos. And one of the things I said in that lesson is that systems of equations are a really great opportunity to use the graphing calculator that's built into the Blue Book app. So I still stand by that, but this would be an exception where I think it's better actually to just do the algebra. And it's because it's kind of like a fake system of equations. Normally we have a system, we have an x and a y in both equations. If one equation only has one variable, then that's usually very easy for us to solve. So I'm specifically looking at the second equation here, which only has an x. It's very easy for me to solve that and get an x coordinate for this system, and then I can use that to get my y. So let's just do it. What would we need to do is just get x alone. So subtracting 8 from both sides, kind of running out of space here, would give me x equals 3. And now I can just take that and substitute it for all the x's in the top equation. So let me just write it out. And I would use scrap paper here. I don't trust myself using my head. So if this were the real test, I would use scrap paper. And I'll show you, one of my other lessons from that series was app or scrap. And for math, this is a case where you've got a little bit of a choice. The scrap I think is easier, but 3 squared plus 14 times 3 plus 48. Okay, so 3 squared I know is 9. 14 times 3 I'm a little iffy on. I think it's 42, but I'm going to double check. 14 times 3 is 42. Regular calculator, not Desmos. Plus 42 plus 48. And again, I could probably add these in my head, but why bother? Let's just do it with the calculator. 9 plus 42 plus 48 is 99. And since they wanted the value of y, boom, there's my answer. So I think that is the most efficient way to do it. Again, I'm not using Desmos. I do find that normal arithmetic, especially on the iPad on a tablet, is a little annoying in Desmos. So that's why I like having a hard calculator that I can just type the buttons really fast. Because normally then, if you're using the app and you open the calculator, it kind of obscures part of the screen. So this is not the app. This is just my own app here. But let's look at the calculator version of this. So it would still come up and we'd still have this kind of like graph. So what I would do is I would try to type this in. So this is, again, why the calculator might not be super efficient here is it's kind of a pain to type. So x squared is this a squared button plus 14x. Oh, see, and what I hate about this, maybe this is just me, is my fingers, the buttons are so small. 14x plus 48. Do I sound like an old person? These buttons are too small. I can't hit anything. Okay, there's 1. And so you see it makes a parabola, which is what we'd expect. And then x plus 8 equals 11. Oh, see, mistyped. And this is the challenge with the calculator is if you mistype it in the calculator, boom, that doesn't matter. They're not going to fix it for you. So what we get is a parabola and a straight vertical line. And the reason it's a straight vertical line is it's not, again, there's no y coordinate for that blue line, that bottom equation. So now looking at our system, we're trying to find where they intersect. That's what they mean when they say the solution to the given system. But you can see it's not on my screen. So this is why I like the iPad actually, is I can move around much more easily than on a computer. And I can see these things getting closer and closer together. And when they actually cross, you don't even have to read it. You can just kind of tap and it's going to tell you that point. It knows that that's what you want. And so there it is, 399, which 99 was our y, 3 was our x. So it is exactly what we found before. Now, let me just, again, warn you a little bit. When you're making these decisions, app or scrap, do I use the app and the built-in calculator or do I use my scrap paper and do it by hand? One of the dangers sometimes of the calculator is that there is a temptation to kind of pick a trap answer. And I know there's no answer choices here, but I could see some people getting this wrong because they answer 3. They see the 3 as first and just something about that makes them want to put that. That's our x value. They specifically asked for the y. But, again, when you're trusting the machine too much, you kind of just see numbers that it's giving you and you just assume that they're correct and you don't do that extra little layer of checking in your brain. Whereas I think with algebra, there is enough kind of hesitancy about what you're doing that you're always kind of reevaluating, like, am I giving them what they want? So I think there is a benefit to doing it by hand sometimes. But the moral of all of this is you've got to decide for you in each case what is going to be most efficient. And this is why you take practice tests, is try different things out. Experiment with using the calculator, experiment doing it by hand. But if there is a system of equations where both equations have two variables, both equations have an x and a y, in those cases, I do think it is definitely better to do it in the calculator because the algebra will get way more complicated and way riskier. And so the calculator is a little bit better to do that. But again, just make sure if they ask for y, you're giving them y. If they ask for x, you're giving them x. Very common trap the SAT sets. Hopefully this is a nice review. And again, go to my strategy series for a much more thorough review of app versus scrap for both reading and math, and for the Desmos calculator, what kinds of questions it's really good for.